In the silent corridors of the heart, there are emotions that move like the currents of the deepest river, hidden, unspoken, but ever present. Perhaps there is someone in your life who has yet to reveal their love for you. They may not speak it aloud, may not show it in grand gestures, but in their quiet, in their actions, in the way their eyes linger upon you, there lies a story, one written in secret, in the language of the soul. Understand, love is not always born in the loud proclamations of affection or the obvious declarations. Sometimes it resides in the places where fear, doubt, and vulnerability meet. People, your loved ones, even strangers, carry shadows within them. They are afraid of showing their true feelings, not because they lack love, but because they are unsure of the reception of that love, unsure of how it might be perceived. In these moments, love is not absent. It is simply veiled in the unconscious mind, concealed by the weight of personal history, experiences, and the fear of rejection. The shadow self is a concept that encapsulates the parts of ourselves that we reject, hide, or fail to acknowledge. It is a psychological construct that operates beneath the surface of our conscious awareness, often influencing our behaviors, thoughts, and emotions in subtle, sometimes even destructive ways. The term shadow was popularized by Carl Jung, who believed that each individual harbors an unconscious part of the self that contains the traits, impulses, and desires we deem undesirable or socially unacceptable. These traits often stem from societal conditioning, personal experiences, or deeply ingrained beliefs that tell us what is right or wrong, what is good or bad. As a result, we tend to disown these aspects of our personality, pushing them into the dark recesses of our mind, where they remain hidden from conscious awareness but continue to influence us. At its core, the shadow self represents those aspects of ourselves that we find too painful, too frightening, or too uncomfortable to face. They are the parts of us that don't fit neatly into the image we have of ourselves, or the image we wish to project to the world. It is easy to think of the shadow as simply representing the negative aspects of our personalities, our anger, jealousy, insecurity, or greed. However, it can also encompass positive traits that we are unable to fully embrace, such as assertiveness, creativity, or even feelings of joy. The shadow does not necessarily contain only harmful or toxic elements. It also holds potential that, when integrated, can lead to personal growth and healing. The shadow is not merely a collection of negative traits, but rather an unconscious counterpart to our conscious self. It is formed by the qualities that we suppress in order to adhere to societal norms, family expectations, or personal ideals. For example, a person who prides themselves on being kind and compassionate may unconsciously repress their anger and frustration because they perceive those emotions as bad or unacceptable. However, by repressing these feelings, they do not eliminate them. Instead, they may emerge in distorted ways through passive-aggressive behavior, irritability, or sudden outbursts that seem out of character. In this sense, the shadow serves as a reservoir for unresolved emotional conflicts and unacknowledged desires. When left unchecked, these unintegrated aspects of the self can have a powerful effect on our thoughts and behaviors, often sabotaging our efforts at personal growth or happiness. The shadow self is not just a product of childhood experiences or social conditioning. It is also shaped by the unconscious dynamics of the psyche. Jung believed that the shadow is an essential part of the individuation process, the journey toward becoming a whole and integrated person. The process of individuation involves confronting and integrating the shadow in order to achieve a deeper understanding of oneself. By embracing the parts of ourselves that we have been reluctant to face, we can gain insight into the root causes of our fears, anxieties, and projections. The shadow can often be seen as a mirror, reflecting back the parts of ourselves that we are unwilling to acknowledge. In this way, it functions as a crucial source of self-knowledge and personal transformation. One of the most difficult aspects of dealing with the shadow is the discomfort that arises when we are forced to confront aspects of ourselves that we have long denied. The shadow can provoke feelings of shame, guilt, or fear, as it often challenges our carefully constructed self-image. We may feel repulsed or terrified by the darker parts of ourselves, but these emotions are precisely the reason why we need to confront them. The shadow contains the energies and emotions that we have disowned, but by facing them, we can begin to reclaim our wholeness. Jung argued that the shadow has a great deal of power over us because we tend to project it onto others. For instance, if we have repressed feelings of anger or rage, we may project these feelings onto someone else and perceive them as angry or hostile, even if that person has not shown any such behavior. Similarly, we may project qualities that we admire but feel we lack onto others, creating an idealized image of someone we believe embodies those traits. Confronting the shadow requires self-awareness, self-compassion, and a willingness to explore the parts of ourselves that we find uncomfortable. This process can be incredibly liberating, as it allows us to let go of the illusion of perfection and embrace our true, multifaceted nature. By acknowledging our repressed emotions, desires, and fears, we can begin to integrate them into our conscious awareness. This integration doesn't mean we act out every impulse or desire that arises, but rather that we acknowledge and understand them. It means accepting that we are complex beings, capable of both light and shadow, and that our worth is not diminished by the darker aspects of ourselves. In some cases, people may spend a lifetime avoiding the shadow, unable or unwilling to confront the discomfort it brings. However, when the shadow remains unaddressed, it can manifest in destructive ways, such as through unhealthy relationships, chronic anxiety, depression, or patterns of self-sabotage. The shadow has a way of resurfacing, sometimes in unexpected and uncontrollable ways, often when we least expect it. The more we resist it, the more power it holds over us. Conversely, when we learn to engage with the shadow, we can tap into its transformative potential. As we acknowledge and integrate the parts of ourselves that we have disowned, we become more authentic, more balanced, and more capable of embracing the fullness of our humanity. While the shadow can be intimidating and difficult to face, it holds the key to personal growth and transformation. By integrating the hidden aspects of ourselves, we gain access to untapped sources of strength, creativity, and wisdom. The journey of confronting the shadow is not an easy one, but it is essential for those who wish to live a life of true authenticity, one that is not governed by fear, shame, or denial. In the end, the shadow is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and embraced, for it is an inseparable part of our inner landscape, guiding us toward wholeness and self-actualization. The concept of archetypes is central to understanding human psychology and behavior. Archetypes are universal, recurring symbols or patterns that emerge in myths, stories, dreams, and even in the way we interact with others. They are fundamental aspects of the human experience, deeply embedded in the collective unconscious, a concept introduced by Carl Jung. Archetypes represent specific roles or figures that have a symbolic significance, and when applied to love, they help to explain the different ways love can be experienced, expressed, and understood. The archetypes of love are not limited to romantic love, but can encompass all forms of affection and connection between individuals. One of the most well-known archetypes of love is the nurturing or maternal figure. This archetype represents unconditional love, care, and selflessness. It is often associated with motherhood, but its influence stretches beyond biological relationships. The nurturing archetype is found in those who give love freely without expectation of return. They are the caregivers, the protectors, and the sources of emotional support in any community or relationship. This type of love is often seen as pure and self-sacrificing, as it does not demand recognition or reciprocation. The nurturing archetype in love reflects a deep-seated need to care for others, to offer safety, and to create an environment where growth can occur. However, this love can sometimes be overwhelming, leading to codependency or an inability to accept help or care from others. In contrast to the nurturing figure, there is the passionate lover archetype, which embodies the intense, often overwhelming feelings associated with romantic love. This archetype is characterized by desire, attraction, and the longing for union with another. It is the love that sweeps us off our feet, the kind of love that makes us feel alive and connected to something greater than ourselves. The passionate lover archetype is driven by emotional intensity, and the experience of love often brings with it both exhilaration and turmoil. This type of love can lead to profound personal transformation, but it can also be destructive if it becomes obsessive or possessive. The passionate lover is driven by the desire to merge with another person on both an emotional and physical level, and this deep connection can lead to a heightened sense of self-awareness. However, when this love is not balanced, it can lead to suffering, as the yearning for the other person can overshadow the need for self-identity and autonomy. Another important archetype is the wise or spiritual lover, who represents love that transcends physical attraction and emotional intensity. This archetype embodies love that is grounded in wisdom, understanding, and deep compassion. The wise lover sees beyond the surface, focusing on the emotional and spiritual growth that can arise from loving someone. This love is often calm and steady, built on mutual respect and a shared understanding of life's deeper truths. The wise lover archetype often manifests in relationships where both partners support each other's personal and spiritual growth, fostering a sense of unity that is rooted in mutual enlightenment. While this form of love may not always be as dramatic or intense as the passionate love, it is often seen as the most enduring, as it provides a stable foundation upon which a deep, lifelong bond can be built. The archetype of the rebel lover is one that challenges societal norms and embraces love as an act of defiance. This type of love often arises in relationships that are unconventional, whether due to social class, age, or cultural expectations. The rebel lover seeks to break free from the constraints imposed by society, seeking instead a love that is untainted by judgment or restriction. This archetype is often associated with forbidden love, love that is not accepted by mainstream society but is nonetheless deeply felt by the individuals involved. The rebel lover is characterized by a sense of adventure, a willingness to take risks, and an irrepressible need to love freely and authentically, regardless of external pressures. This love is not about seeking approval from others, but about embracing the freedom to love as one truly desires. While this type of love can be liberating and empowering, it can also come with great challenges, particularly if the relationship is met with opposition or disapproval from the outside world. The archetype of the caregiver is often seen as a balancing force in the landscape of love. This archetype focuses on empathy, compassion, and the desire to alleviate suffering in others. The caregiver loves through actions, offering physical, emotional, or psychological support to those in need. This love is expressed through acts of service, protection, and understanding. It is not driven by the need for recognition, but by the inherent desire to care for others and help them heal or grow. However, the caregiver can sometimes struggle with boundaries, finding it difficult to accept help or to allow others to take on the responsibility of caring for them. This can lead to feelings of burnout or resentment, especially if the caregiver feels unappreciated or overwhelmed by the demands of others. The archetype of the friend, lover, represents a deep, abiding love that is built on mutual respect, trust, and companionship. This form of love is often seen in close, long-term friendships where both individuals share a deep emotional bond that transcends romantic attraction. The friend-lover archetype is characterized by loyalty, emotional intimacy, and a sense of equality. This love does not rely on passion or desire, but instead thrives on shared experiences, mutual support, and a genuine understanding of one another's inner worlds. The friend-lover is often the person who stands by you through thick and thin, providing a steady presence in your life. This love is grounded in friendship, yet it has the potential to deepen into something more profound, even romantic, over time. It is the kind of love that evolves gradually and is sustained by emotional connection and shared values. Lastly, there is the archetype of the unattainable lover, a figure that represents love that is idealized, unreachable, or unrequited. This archetype can manifest in various ways, from a love that is never reciprocated to a partner who is emotionally distant or unavailable. The unattainable lover is often a source of longing and fantasy, representing an ideal of love that is never fully realized. While this type of love can fuel creativity, passion, and personal growth, it can also lead to frustration and heartache. The unattainable lover challenges the individual to explore the depths of their emotions and desires, but it also confronts them with the reality that not all love can be attained. This archetype speaks to the human tendency to idealize love, projecting our deepest desires onto someone who may never fulfill them. Each of these archetypes represents a different facet of love, from the nurturing care of the maternal figure to the rebellious freedom of forbidden love. While we may encounter these archetypes in others, they also reside within us. By understanding and exploring these archetypes, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of love and recognize the different ways it can manifest in our lives. The unconscious mind is a powerful force that shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions in ways we are often unaware of. It is the repository of everything that is outside of our conscious awareness, including repressed memories, unresolved conflicts, primal instincts, and deeply ingrained beliefs. While we tend to think of ourselves as rational beings who make decisions based on careful thought and logic, much of our behavior is actually influenced by forces that lie beyond our conscious control. The unconscious mind has the ability to guide us towards certain decisions, reactions, and relationships, often without us even realizing it. The unconscious influence is particularly powerful because it operates outside of our direct awareness. It is a storehouse for all the experiences we have had in life, especially those from childhood, that have been pushed aside or repressed due to their emotional intensity or their perceived irrelevance at the time. These experiences, while not accessible to our conscious mind, continue to affect us in profound ways. For example, someone who experienced abandonment or neglect in early childhood may not consciously remember those events, but they may manifest in adult relationships as a fear of intimacy or an inability to trust others. The unconscious mind does not forget. It holds on to every experience, every trauma, every desire, and every fear, even if we are not consciously aware of it. This influence is not always negative. In fact, much of our creative and adaptive thinking stems from the unconscious. The unconscious mind is responsible for much of our day-to-day functioning, such as breathing, digesting food, and responding to stimuli in our environment. It also plays a significant role in decision-making processes, guiding us toward choices that may seem intuitive or instinctual. In these instances, the unconscious mind is working in our favor, using its vast store of knowledge and experience to help us navigate life. However, when the unconscious holds onto unresolved conflicts or repressed emotions, it can influence our behavior in unhealthy or maladaptive ways. One of the most profound ways in which the unconscious influences us is through the concept of projection. Projection occurs when we attribute our own feelings, desires, or traits to others, often without realizing it. This is particularly common with the aspects of ourselves that we repress or deny. For example, a person who harbors feelings of anger may unconsciously project that anger onto someone else, perceiving the other person as hostile or aggressive, even when no such behavior is present. Similarly, if someone has repressed feelings of jealousy, they may project these feelings onto others, believing that others are jealous of them, when in fact the jealousy resides within themselves. Projection can lead to misunderstandings, conflict, and emotional dissonance, as it distorts how we perceive the world and those around us. Another way the unconscious influences us is through the phenomenon of repetition compulsion. This is when individuals find themselves repeatedly attracted to the same type of unhealthy relationship or situation, even if they consciously wish to avoid it. Repetition compulsion is a way for the unconscious mind to attempt to resolve unresolved conflicts or traumas from the past. For example, someone who grew up in an abusive household may unconsciously seek out relationships with partners who exhibit similar behaviors, believing on some level that by repeating the experience, they will be able to resolve the underlying trauma. This can be a frustrating and painful cycle, as the unconscious mind does not learn from conscious reasoning, but instead operates on deep emotional patterns that are often difficult to break without intervention. The unconscious mind also plays a critical role in shaping our self-concept. The way we view ourselves and the world around us is influenced by the internalized beliefs and values we have acquired over time. These beliefs often come from childhood experiences, parental figures, societal norms, and cultural conditioning. For example, a person who was raised in an environment where they were consistently criticized or belittled may internalize the belief that they are unworthy or incompetent. This belief, which resides in the unconscious mind, can influence their behavior and interactions with others, even if they consciously strive to be confident or successful. The unconscious influence on self-concept can either empower us or hold us back, depending on the nature of the beliefs and experiences that have shaped our inner world. Dreams are another window into the unconscious mind, offering a glimpse into the hidden thoughts, fears, and desires that shape our lives. Dreams are often symbolic representations of the unconscious, providing clues about unresolved emotional conflicts, repressed desires, and aspects of the self that have not been fully integrated into conscious awareness. For example, a dream of falling may symbolize feelings of insecurity or lack of control in waking life. Similarly, a dream of being chased could indicate unresolved fear or anxiety. By examining and interpreting dreams, individuals can gain insight into their unconscious motivations and begin to understand the hidden forces that influence their thoughts and actions. The unconscious also plays a role in our relationships. Our patterns of attraction, attachment, and behavior in relationships are often guided by unconscious drives that are rooted in early childhood experiences. For example, a person who experienced neglect or emotional unavailability from a parent may unconsciously seek out partners who are similarly unavailable, recreating the emotional dynamics of their early life. These unconscious relationship patterns can lead to dysfunction and dissatisfaction if they are not acknowledged and addressed. The unconscious mind is always at work in relationships, influencing how we relate to others, how we interpret their actions, and how we respond to emotional intimacy. The unconscious influence can also manifest in the form of gut feelings or intuition. These intuitive responses arise from the unconscious mind processing information rapidly and providing a sense of knowing or understanding that we cannot immediately explain. Our intuition often guides us in making decisions that feel right, even when we lack conscious evidence to support them. For instance, we may feel a strong, inexplicable sense of trust in a person we've just met, or we may have an instinctual reaction to avoid a certain situation. This type of unconscious processing can be a valuable tool for navigating complex or uncertain situations. Despite its powerful influence, the unconscious is not easily accessed or understood. The unconscious mind operates on its own terms, often in ways that contradict our conscious desires or intentions. It is only through self-reflection, therapy, and mindfulness that we can begin to uncover and understand the unconscious influences that shape our lives. By becoming more aware of these hidden forces, we can begin to integrate them into our conscious awareness, making healthier decisions, breaking free from destructive patterns, and achieving greater emotional balance. Individuation is a central concept in Jungian psychology, representing the process of becoming the person one is inherently meant to be. It is a journey towards self-realization where a person integrates the various parts of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious, into a harmonious whole. This process is not about achieving perfection or completing a final goal, but rather about the ongoing evolution of the self, marked by self-awareness, growth, and inner balance. It involves the reconciliation of opposites within the individual, such as the integration of the ego with the unconscious, the rational with the emotional, the masculine with the feminine, and the light with the dark. Individuation is both a personal and spiritual process, encompassing the entirety of one's life, and it requires a deep commitment to self-exploration, self-acceptance, and the cultivation of a unique identity. The process of individuation begins early in life, though it often becomes more conscious during adulthood when a person begins to search for meaning or a deeper understanding of who they are. The first step in this journey involves the recognition of the ego, or the conscious self, and the distinction between the ego and the unconscious. The ego is the part of the self that is aware, that makes decisions, and that relates to the external world. However, the ego is only a fragment of the psyche, and it is often limited by personal experiences, cultural conditioning, and societal expectations. The unconscious, on the other hand, holds the deeper, more hidden aspects of the psyche, such as repressed memories, instincts, desires, and archetypal patterns. The unconscious mind is vast and contains everything that has been forgotten, ignored, or repressed. The challenge of individuation is to reconcile the conscious and unconscious aspects of the self, allowing both to coexist in a way that fosters personal growth and understanding. One of the central components of individuation is the confrontation with the shadow. The shadow represents the aspects of the self that have been denied, repressed, or ignored. often because they are considered undesirable or socially unacceptable. These aspects can include negative traits such as anger, jealousy, or greed, as well as positive traits that have been suppressed, such as assertiveness, creativity, or sexual desire. The shadow is not inherently evil. It is simply the part of the self that is hidden from conscious awareness. Confronting and integrating the shadow is a crucial step in individuation, as it allows the individual to accept the fullness of their being, including the parts of themselves they may have been reluctant to acknowledge. When the shadow is ignored or suppressed, it can lead to psychological imbalance, projection onto others, and a sense of inner conflict. Through the process of individuation, one learns to integrate the shadow, which leads to greater wholeness and self-acceptance. Another important aspect of individuation is the integration of the anima and animus, which are the inner feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche. According to Jung, every individual contains both masculine and feminine elements, regardless of their biological sex. The anima represents the feminine qualities within a man's psyche, while the animus represents the masculine qualities within a woman's psyche. These archetypes often manifest as internal figures or images that guide the individual in their quest for balance and self-realization. For example, a man may experience his anima as a figure of wisdom, beauty, or sensuality, while a woman may experience her animus as a figure of strength, rationality, or assertiveness. The process of individuation requires the integration of these opposing forces, allowing the individual to embrace both their masculine and feminine qualities. This integration fosters a sense of inner harmony and helps the person move beyond rigid gender roles and stereotypes, creating a more authentic and balanced identity. As part of individuation, a person also encounters the self, which is the totality of the psyche. The self represents the deepest, most integrated aspect of the individual, encompassing both the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. It is often symbolized by images such as a mandala, a circle, or a divine figure representing wholeness, unity, and transcendence. The journey toward the self is not linear or straightforward. It involves navigating through layers of the unconscious, confronting fears and desires, and reconciling the many conflicting parts of the self. The self is not a static entity, but a dynamic process of growth and transformation. As one progresses along the path of individuation, the self becomes a guiding force, providing insight, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of one's purpose in life. Individuation also involves the cultivation of the inner world. In a society that often prioritizes external achievement, material success, and social recognition, the journey of individuation encourages the individual to turn inward and explore their inner landscape. This inward journey involves developing self-awareness, paying attention to dreams and symbols, and cultivating a deeper connection to the unconscious. Jung believed that dreams were a powerful tool for understanding the unconscious, and that they provided valuable insights into the individual's inner conflicts, desires, and potential for growth. By paying attention to the symbols and messages in dreams, an individual can begin to uncover hidden aspects of the self and gain guidance on their path of individuation. One of the challenges of individuation is the tension between individuality and social conformity. On the one hand, individuation is about discovering and expressing one's unique identity, free from the constraints of social norms and expectations. On the other hand, humans are inherently social beings, and the need for connection and acceptance often influences how we present ourselves to the world. The process of individuation requires finding a balance between personal authenticity and the need to belong. It is about becoming true to oneself while also navigating the complexities of social life. This tension is particularly evident in the modern world, where societal pressures can often overshadow the individual's journey toward self-realization. Symbolism in communication is a powerful and subtle means of conveying meaning that transcends the literal. It is an integral part of human language, culture, and expression. Through the use of symbols, individuals are able to express complex ideas, emotions, and concepts that words alone might struggle to communicate. Symbols act as conduits for deeper, often unconscious meanings, and are not limited to verbal language, but also extend to gestures, images, colors, and rituals. The ability to use symbolism allows individuals to communicate in ways that resonate on a deeper psychological level, creating connections that go beyond the surface of everyday exchanges. At the core of symbolism is the idea that symbols represent something beyond themselves. They are signs that stand in for ideas, emotions, or experiences that are too complex or abstract to be easily put into words. For instance, a flag can symbolize patriotism, national identity, or pride, depending on the context in which it is used. Similarly, a heart is a universal symbol for love, though its meaning may carry a variety of nuances based on cultural or personal contexts. In communication, symbols can evoke emotional responses and help to frame discussions or arguments in ways that words alone cannot. They are not just words or objects, but vessels that carry a deeper, more profound significance. Symbols also have a powerful role in shaping the way people perceive the world and their place in it. They are woven into the fabric of social and cultural norms, shaping collective consciousness and reinforcing shared values. Cultural symbols such as religious icons, national emblems, or historical figures have the ability to unite or divide people by tapping into shared meanings and beliefs. For example, the cross in Christianity symbolizes sacrifice, salvation, and hope, while in other cultures or contexts it may be interpreted differently or carry no meaning at all. Similarly, national flags can symbolize unity, pride, and loyalty, yet these same symbols can evoke feelings of exclusion, division, or conflict when associated with historical oppression or nationalism. In everyday communication, individuals often use symbols to convey personal identities or to signal membership within a particular group. Fashion, for example, can be a form of symbolic communication. Clothing choices can express one's personal style, social status, or alignment with certain cultural or political movements. Colors themselves can have symbolic significance. For example, the color red often symbolizes passion or danger, while blue can represent calmness or authority. By wearing certain colors or styles, individuals communicate information about themselves without the need for verbal expression. This form of nonverbal communication is often more immediate and instinctive, as the symbols used in fashion and appearance can tap into unconscious associations and cultural meanings. Beyond fashion, language itself is filled with symbolism. Words often carry connotations and symbolic meanings that go beyond their literal definitions. For example, the word home can evoke feelings of safety, belonging, or warmth, but it can also symbolize a sense of stability or emotional grounding. The phrase breaking the ice may seem literal, but it symbolically refers to the act of overcoming social barriers or initiating a conversation in a new or uncomfortable situation. Metaphors are a form of symbolic communication where one thing is represented by another. The metaphor "time is money" connects the abstract concept of time to the tangible, measurable value of money, symbolizing the preciousness and efficiency of time in a highly consumer-driven society. Even in nonverbal communication, symbolism plays a crucial role. Body language, facial expressions and gestures can carry symbolic meaning that conveys emotions, attitudes, or intentions without a single word being spoken. A clenched fist can symbolize defiance or anger, while a smile can symbolize happiness or friendliness. The way individuals position their bodies, such as standing with crossed arms or leaning forward, can symbolically express openness, defensiveness, or interest. These symbolic gestures allow individuals to communicate complex emotions and social cues that are difficult to articulate with words alone. The role of symbolism in communication extends into the realm of art, literature, and media, where it serves as a vehicle for conveying complex ideas, themes, and narratives. In literature, authors frequently use symbols to deepen the meaning of their works and to evoke emotions in their readers. A recurring symbol, such as a bird in a novel, may symbolize freedom, confinement, or transformation, depending on how it is portrayed throughout the narrative. Art, whether in the form of painting, sculpture, or performance, similarly employs symbolism to provoke thought and convey deeper meanings. The use of color, form, and composition in art can elicit emotional responses that are influenced by the symbols present in the artwork. A painting of a decaying flower, for example, might symbolize mortality, the passage of time, or the fragility of life. Similarly, media, particularly film and television, utilizes symbolism to communicate themes and ideas that resonate with audiences. A director might use lighting, props, and color schemes to symbolize a character's emotional state or journey. For example, the color black may symbolize evil or mystery, while white may represent purity or innocence. The use of symbols in film can create layers of meaning that add depth to the storyline and characters. In this way, symbolism becomes an essential tool for storytelling, providing audiences with subtle cues that help them interpret and understand the broader themes of a narrative. One of the key features of symbolism is its ability to evoke unconscious responses. Symbols often tap into deeply ingrained psychological archetypes and collective memories, making them potent tools for influencing perception and emotion. Carl Jung's theory of archetypes suggests that certain symbols have universal meanings, rooted in the collective unconscious. These archetypal symbols, such as the hero, the mother, the shadow, or the wise old man, appear across cultures and throughout history in myths, stories, and religious traditions. When individuals encounter these symbols, they resonate on a deep, often unconscious level, evoking emotional reactions and guiding their perceptions of the world. In the realm of advertising and marketing, companies often rely heavily on symbolism to create powerful associations between their products and certain values or emotions. A brand may use specific colors, logos, or slogans to symbolize qualities such as luxury, health, or sustainability. For example, the use of green in advertising may symbolize eco-friendliness, while gold may represent wealth and exclusivity. Through these symbolic associations, companies are able to create emotional connections with consumers, influencing their purchasing decisions in ways that go beyond the practical features of the product itself. The role of symbolism in communication is profound and far-reaching. Whether through language, visual imagery, gestures, or cultural rituals, symbolism allows individuals to express complex ideas, connect with others, and navigate the world in ways that are deeply meaningful. It transcends the limitations of literal language and taps into the deeper layers of the psyche, creating connections that are often felt more than understood. Understanding the power of symbolism in communication allows individuals to become more aware of the subtle cues and messages that shape their perceptions and interactions, leading to greater self-awareness and a deeper understanding of the world around them. Trust in the unseen is an idea that transcends the boundaries of religion, philosophy, and personal experience. It refers to the belief in something beyond the tangible, something that cannot be seen or directly experienced with the senses, but is felt or understood in a more profound, spiritual, or intuitive way. This concept has been explored across various cultures and belief systems. From faith in a higher power to the trust we place in the invisible forces that guide our lives. Trusting in the unseen invites us to let go of our need for immediate proof, challenging our reliance on the visible and the concrete. It encourages us to acknowledge that not everything can be measured, explained, or understood by the logical mind, and that there is value in embracing mystery and uncertainty. At the heart of trusting in the unseen is the recognition that life operates beyond our direct understanding. There are countless aspects of existence that we simply cannot perceive or explain, whether it's the laws of nature, the complexity of the human mind, or the interconnectedness of all living things. The unseen encompasses the unknown forces that govern life, from gravity to quantum mechanics, from love to fate. These forces are not always visible or comprehensible, yet they shape our world in profound ways. The acknowledgement of the unseen forces allows for a sense of wonder and humility, as it becomes apparent that our knowledge is limited and that we are part of something much larger and more mysterious than ourselves. Faith plays a central role in trust in the unseen, particularly in religious or spiritual contexts. People who follow religious beliefs often place their trust in the unseen, whether it's in the belief of a higher power, such as God or gods, or the belief in the spiritual realm. Faith, in this sense, is the acceptance of a reality beyond the material world, one that is not bound by the limitations of time, space, or physical evidence. This type of trust is based not on empirical proof, but on personal experience, tradition, intuition, and the teachings of those who have come before. For instance, many religious traditions teach that love, compassion, and justice are part of a divine order that transcends human understanding. Trust in this divine order is seen as a way of connecting to something greater, something eternal, that provides meaning and purpose. Trust in the unseen is not limited to religion alone. It also manifests in everyday life, especially in the realm of relationships. Human beings often place trust in one another without tangible proof of intentions, relying instead on intuition, history, and the belief in the unseen bonds that connect them. This can be seen in the trust we place in family, friends, and partners, where love, loyalty, and commitment are expressed not always through concrete actions, but through the unspoken understanding between people. The way one can feel safe with a loved one, even in silence, or how someone can comfort another without saying a word, highlights the power of trust in the unseen. Relationships in this context are built on a foundation of emotional and psychological connection that is not always visible or measurable but deeply felt. In addition to relationships, trusting in the unseen also applies to our interactions with the world around us, particularly in our belief in the future and the unknown. When we make decisions, whether in business, personal life, or any other domain, we are often making choices based on a sense of trust in the unseen outcomes. We trust that our actions today will lead to results, even though we cannot predict with certainty what will happen. We trust that there will be opportunities ahead, that the effort we put into our endeavors will bear fruit, even though we cannot see the future. This trust in the unseen is essential for progress and personal growth. It requires stepping into the unknown, embracing uncertainty, and having the courage to move forward despite the lack of clear answers. In the realm of personal development, trust in the unseen involves trusting the process of growth itself. Often, the most significant changes in life occur in ways that are not immediately visible. Healing, transformation, and growth are not always linear or obvious. Trusting in the unseen is the belief that the work you are doing, whether internally or externally, will yield results even if you do not see immediate evidence of success. This is particularly important in areas like self-improvement, where the journey may involve internal shifts that are not easily observable. Whether it's building resilience, changing negative thought patterns, or working through past trauma, the process often involves moments of uncertainty and discomfort. Yet, it is through trust in this process, the belief that change is occurring even when it is not visible, that individuals are able to continue their path to personal growth. The concept of the unseen is also deeply tied to our capacity for hope and resilience. In difficult times, it is often the trust in the unseen that allows people to endure and persevere. When facing hardship, whether in the form of loss, failure, or struggle, individuals may find strength in their belief that things will improve, even when there is no tangible evidence to support this belief. Trusting in the unseen is the ability to see beyond the current moment and believe in a future that is not yet visible. This hope becomes a source of strength, propelling individuals through difficult situations and helping them stay focused on long-term goals. In a more philosophical sense, trust in the unseen challenges the limitations of human perception and encourages a more expansive view of reality. It invites individuals to consider the possibility that there are dimensions of existence beyond what can be perceived by the senses or understood by the intellect. This idea calls into question the supremacy of empirical evidence and encourages a more holistic understanding of the world, one that includes intuition, emotion, and the unconscious mind as valid sources of knowledge. The unseen in this sense is not something to fear or dismiss, but something to be explored, understood, and embraced as a vital part of the human experience. Trusting in the unseen also calls for a certain level of surrender. It requires letting go of the need for control and certainty, allowing life to unfold without trying to dictate every outcome. This form of trust is not passive but active. It involves embracing the unknown, moving forward with faith, and finding peace in uncertainty. It is about accepting that while we cannot always control the future or predict every result, there is value in trusting that life is unfolding according to a greater plan or natural order, even if it is not immediately clear to us. Trust in the unseen is an essential aspect of human experience. It challenges us to look beyond the material and the visible, to embrace the mystery, and to accept that not everything can be known or controlled. Whether it is in matters of faith, relationships, personal growth, or hope for the future, trusting in the unseen opens us up to the possibility of something greater than ourselves, offering a deeper sense of connection, meaning, and purpose. This trust allows us to navigate the complexities of life with a sense of peace, resilience, and faith in the process of becoming.